Andrew Buchanan, aka El Cannon. Always a pleasure, mate. I
Hello.
first come across when I was about 12-year-old. You were basically like, I suppose, the standout kid in the Northeast, particularly in my kind of age. You won national titles. You boxed for England. I mean, don't worry. I'm gonna share this on the boxing pages later, so it will get quite a few views. So anyway, take me back. You and your brother, you become pros. You won everything. What got you into boxing?
So at the time, I think I was doing karate as a kid. I think I must have been about six, 7, something like that. And I was really bad at karate. I had 2 karate contests, and I got disqualified in both of them for punching them in the face. And I didn't know it was non-contact. So I think at that time I really fancied doing some contact stuff. And my dad was helping out with the old West Denton gym, the old library, and my brother went. I think he went before me, and I went there. At the time, I think John Davison was dipping in and out there when he was boxing for the British titles and stuff like that. So that was quite a good influence to have in the gym. I remember him coming in with his belt and in his free t-shirts, and I was too small for because they only had like large or something like that. Running around the house in my little John Davison t-shirt, around my knees because I was only about 4 stone wet through. But yes, that was the first gym I went to, and then I got the bug from then.
So I mean, in my head, you were a natural. You were a very clever fighter. I mean, I was just, want to fight, and I boxed with my face. You were really clever, and I think that's a reflection on you, because you're quite a really bright guy. You switched on with fruit routines. That you once said to me, my success was my range. That's my space. I would never have had the intelligence to do that. You won everything as an amateur. So you're a Newcastle lad brought up.
Yep.
Started off with teams, then you went over to Berkeley. Boxing. I mean, you must have fought the literally who's who. You fought a lot of my friends. John Cronin from the old Vic. One or two I probably don't want to give a mention to. There's probably a few that. Nigel Wright, you fought him 5 times.
5 times, never won. Couldn't figure out that southpaw style. Obviously, everyone, people in the Northeast, obviously know who Nigel Wright is. Absolutely cracking lad, really nice lad. Cracking boxer, tough as old nails, and he was when he was younger. We had that little circle of it was me and Nigel and Dave Carter from Hartlepool. He was outstanding as well, Davey Carter.
He was amazing. Do you know what? I used to watch him when he was like 13-year-old, and he'd throw uppercuts, and it was just he just walked away from the sport. I think when he was 14, I remember seeing him once in Flamingo Land, and my mate who you fought, and he said to me, "Oh, he's this superstar," and I'm thinking he's 6 stone. In my head, I was thinking he was like Tyson, but he was exceptional.
He was.
Can I ask you, Andy? You fought literally the who's who. Did you fight any superstars in the amateurs who went on to do well as a pro?
I'm trying to think. I had a funny little generation where it was just as the Olympics. I think was Audley Harrison won the Olympics. That's roughly when I was on the squad. So it was Carl Froch and David Hay. They were both within there, but they were different weights to me. So I sparred. Obviously, I sparred with Carl, and done some sparring with Mikkel Kessler as well over in Denmark. Mads Larsen went over for a good week with them. Everyone was like around that scene. They went over. I think there was a couple of times I was kind of like in the fray for it. May weight there was. I don't think there was anyone else who was there. I think Bessie was at the time was the senior number 1. And then he retired, and then I kind of like slipped in there just from the multi-nations.
Yeah.
You what? Sorry?
Didn't you fight Bessie?
Aye, twice. I got beat. Something about
he was just that 2-bit mature for you at the time.
Yeah, definitely. The first time I boxed him. I think it was a lot closer. I can't remember what the scores were. It was the old computer scoring. It was down at York Hall, and I thought I put in a decent performance against him, but I think he just had that bit more senior. It was my first ABAs. I think I was in 18 or 19 or something like that. And I think he just had that little bit of extra maturity, a little bit of extra knowledge and stuff like that. And I think the second time I fought him, it was just before I turned pro and went up at North Road with Glenn and Gary McCrory, and I was really struggling at the weight. That's half the reason why I had to what made us choose to go pro, because I was really struggling at 11 stone. I think it was light middleweight 71. And that was my category at the time. I just couldn't make it anymore. So I had the opportunity to either move up to 75, which I probably would have ended up boxing the Froch and stuff like that, because that's what weight they were at. I can't remember if he turned pro before me or not. But anyway, yeah.
He beat John Pierce in 99.
Yeah.
I think he went pro in. So he's in the class of 2002 with John O'Donnell, that kind of Mick Hennessy's lot. I think he might have went pro 2001. I mean, a name there. You once told me John Pierce. I said, were you ever scared, Andy? Were you really feared? He said the only one I was really, really like, almost intimidated, like, was being in with John Pierce. So you come to Middlesbrough and you sparred with him. So if anyone doesn't know John Pierce, he was kind of like a Gennady Golovkin, but like 25 years ago. He was a superstar. My childhood hero. I know John very well. I mean, was he that? How did you do with him sparring? His body shots were just unbelievable, weren't they?
Yeah, I think the plan was just not get hit with him. He was obviously going down. I knew I'd watched John all my career when I was younger and stuff coming through, and he was like a superstar, you know. And getting the opportunity to go down and spar with John was great, absolutely brilliant. I think, like I say, it was the only time I had a bit of trepidation sparring, because John was very much at the time. The style of amateur fighting, it was very set to, like, you had different countries, they had the different styles, and they were very at the time the English boxing was very like was very upright. It was very like set point like that, and you had like the more American pro style where they were coming low, and John was like a combination of everything, you know. He used to really hurt people with body shots and things like that, and he was a strong guy. So I had to be on my game. I had to be like, I had to take it very, very seriously. Otherwise, I think I would have.
Sure, I asked him years ago, and he said he couldn't get anywhere near you because you literally had your running shoes on.
Well, that's the thing. You see, you just got to you've got to use what you've got at the time, haven't it? That's use all your tools at the disposal.
You were never going to stand in front of someone like that. You'd have had no ribs left.
No. Well, that's the thing. I was my amateur style at the time was very much like in and out and quick feet, and I used to use the ring well, and I used to be quite good at putting people in positions where it was more advantageous for me. So either slow the pace of a fight, so it suited me a bit more if they were more of a high rate worker, or like pick it up a little bit, or that was kind of like I like you said before. I love the technical aspect of the sport. I like the fact that you can look at someone's feet and tell how hard they're going to punch, and you can look at the position of someone's shoulders and things, and see where the end shot's going to land. I really enjoyed the technical aspect of it. So for me, I used to use them kind of little tricks and things to my advantage, so I could be as lazy as possible in the ring.
Yeah, John, wise. Knock a few kebabs out with you if you'd have got hold of you. Questions for you, Andy. Right, who was the best you ever fought as an amateur? Whether you were 11, whether you were 18, who was the best you ever fought?
I think at the time, when I was younger, obviously me, the little holy northeast trinity of me, Davy Carter, and Nigel Wright. I think obviously I just couldn't.
Anthony Wright from Sunderland, God rest him. So yous were kind of like Duran, Leonard, Hearns and Hagler.
Aye, not too far off. But I think Davy Carter, I I think when I went in with Nigel, by the end of it, I thought, oh God, just get this out of the way, Will. You know? And Davey was like, I eventually, when I eventually got the win over Davey, it was a massive turning point in my career. So I think that's one of my highlights when I was younger. In terms of
you won one. When did you get the win the last time?
The last time, yeah. I think it was on Davey.
Then went into the sunset.
that was the peak. That was the peak, Jamie. I could have just retired then, a happy boy. But I think that was on his show.
I remember my mate who you boxed, and he was saying, this Buchanan, he's unbelievable. And I think me and Carl Valley were there. We hadn't even had our medicals at that stage, and we were telling people we were 20-0 and all that. We were just like young kids, like, do you know what I mean? Being nosy.
Yeah.
And I think I remember the draw, and Davy Carter going, yes, I've got Buchanan. And I remember looking at my mate, and he's like, he's getting murdered. And I watched it, and I remember, I'm sure it was at Brandon, so it was January 93.
Yeah.
So well, that years ago. Yeah, I probably would agree with that. I mean, who was the best you ever sparred in your whole boxing amateur? Would you say John Pierce?
I think John was probably the most wary. Like obviously, I had the image of John that I had from watching him through the amateurs and stuff, and obviously following his career and boxing alongside him, or like on the England squads and things like that. So he was someone I looked up to as well, because he's a lovely guy, as you know yourself, and everyone who knows him knows exactly what he's like. I'm trying to think, I remember going down sparring with Robin Reid down in Manchester. He was like, the man was built like a tank at the time. I was like, I think I went down there and I was still amateur, had an amateur style. And he was very much like a pro, but obviously he had the good amateur experience. And
the late 90s.
I think that was the back end of the 90s, 99-ish, something like that. Maybe he's around about then.
Well, he fought Calzaghe, I'm sure, in 99. I'm sure he was world champion 97, 98 himself.
Yeah.
So how much was the gap from being this top international amateur to getting in with someone like Robin Reid and being a world champion who doesn't move about, who just slips punches half an inch? Is there a massive gap?
I think what it is I think it's like I think the best word I can describe solidity. Like he's very, very solid to box. Like when you're boxing at the time, like I say, the amateur style was very fluid. There was a lot of moving. There was a lot of up on the toes and in and out and sliding, because obviously it's a faster game. But it was just that difference of the pro style, where everything was settled, everything was solid, everything was meaningful. So I'm looking to try and box and throw like a double jab right hand and then take a step out, move to the side, and then do a 2-3 phase combination attack, where he's looking just to set and get us in the right position. And that's one of the things, like it's kind of changed a lot in the last few years, where there's a lot more pro styling creeping into in the amateur style. And I think it's that just mix of the both that makes it a little bit easier now for the transition from amateur to pro. But at the time, it was two very different sports. And you can be top of the game in the amateur with that amateur style, but then slip into the professionals and struggle against like seasoned journeyman kind of thing, if you haven't taken the time to adapt and change your style to how the pro boxing scene is. But it was just what.
Sorry, go on.
Like I say, it was. I think when I went over and spot Mikkel Kessler, I think he'd had about 15 fights or something at the time, but he was still quite like. I found his style slightly more amateur. I don't know whether it was like the European thing, so I quite enjoyed that sparring session. And it's just different styles and different fighters make you have preconceptions when you go in, and then when you go in and spar, and you think, oh, actually, I can suss this out a little bit more, and it puts that mind at ease when you're doing them sparring. So I've never really been like massively phased. I thought, oh God, I'm going to get my head punched in here. I had enough of that at the teams where I used to go to the gym and just get my face battered all the time, like every session. John Morrison, he was bigger than his heavier than his, and I was the only one like roughly at the same at the same weight as him. Obviously, his brother Tony Davies, obviously lovely lad, like England boxing coach, doing great things with his career coach and ABA champion and things like that. And it was just when Tony was like a senior, so like I think it was before Eddie Eiley came as well, and there was me and John used to spar every night, and I used to just get in there and just go right. I think that's where you learn a little bit of resilience as well. The old school gyms where you've just got to get on with it and take your beatings like a.
Funny how things work out, because I remember being in I think it was somewhere like Mexborough. I was about 16, and Ryan Rhodes was there. You probably remember this because your Paul fought John Varney or something, and he got disqualified.
Yeah.
And so I remember looking up at Ryan Rhodes and Paul Silky Jones, and then of course your Paul fought Ryan Rhodes like 10 years later. So I was 16 then. So your Paul would have probably been 14. Do you know what I mean? So it's bizarre how this Ryan Rhodes thought, see that 14-year-old there, I'm going to knock him out one day, one round. But do you know what I could give you, Andy? And it probably sounds like derogatory comment, but it's not. But you were like the superstar. Everyone knew you were. It's such a unique name as well. I've never really, obviously there's Ken Buchanan, but I've never come across any Buchanans in life. But you were the guy who, you know, like was bloody littered with badges all over your stuff. I was just happy to win a fight. You know what I mean? And you were basically like, but ultimately, looking back, I think you mastered, and same for Nigel Wright as well. I think for the talent you had, yes, you went pro. You went pro when you were young. You kind of dived away because boxing's not a business what a lot of people think, unless you're the industry. But you massively underachieved. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, because you should have been a superstar. I think the last time I seen you would have been about 97, maybe 98. And then I never seen you again. And then my mate rang me and he said, put Channel 3 on. This was about years later. And he went, Andrew Buchanan's on the telly and he's covered in tattoos. And I remember thinking, like, you're going to be a proper mega. Where did it go wrong, Andy?
I think you're right. I think I always like reflect on this. I've got no regrets about like any things in my life. I always say that regrets are just like little things that keep you up your night. You know, like, I haven't got any regrets. I think maybe things I would have done different. I would have stayed amateur a few more years. I would have. I think I probably would have. At the time, I was due to go down and go back on the England cycle. I think Chris Bessie had just retired. I potentially would have moved up to 75 to middleweight, and I had a good another like 3 or 4 years there, because I was there. I was England. I think by the time I'd finished, I was England number 1, number 2, and it was just before the funding came as well, and I was thinking I need to get a job and I need to earn some money, and I'm not very good at anything else apart from boxing, so kind of got talked into the pro side of things. Maybe it's a bit early, and you know yourself, the pro game is not. It's not exactly what it's painted out when you see these superstars on the telly. When you're boxing local shows and you're having to grind out ticket selling. Sometimes I remember selling tickets a couple hours before I'm supposed to be getting in the ring, and I'm running around people's doors and knocking on just to try and get the numbers up and things like that. And and I did have good support and things like that. I think the second time round, after I had lots of problems with, as you know, management disputes and being withheld from fights and being withheld from training, and I had years out with that. And then obviously personal life takes over with that, getting married, having kids, having to find like a job that pays so I can pay the bills and support my family. And there was just no money in boxing. There was no money to be made, unless I think it's pretty fair to say, unless you've got significant money behind you, or a good promoter, or you've got a very, very big fan base who's dedicated and willing to come to support you all over the place, then it's difficult. It's difficult getting up them early rungs. I think especially like after I'd faded away and stuff like that, and I think the dreams of glory and me past past experience and achievements kind of like faded into the background, and I'd done it more for myself just to see if I still had it in what I could do. And I found the exact same pitfalls of not being able to get fights. I couldn't. I tried to. I'd said we'll try and be like a journeyman. I'd just go on the road and I'll fight the top kids. Up and down, and I'll be the opponent. And I couldn't get fights. And obviously selling tickets up here and with ticket deals and things like that, it's a struggle, especially when I was working like 2 shifts, 3 shifts, doing night shifts and things like that. You know, it was difficult. So that you just have to make them decisions that like it's not worth it. But like I say, I look back on everything and with fond memories. The people I've met, the experiences I've had, it can't be replaced. And it's something that like I've got the odd photo. I think there's 2 fights of us on YouTube, something like that. And I can't find any of my amateur fights or anything like that. I think there was a Berkeley ABC highlight reel where I was on there. And I think that was against the Marines.
Yeah, do you know what? I've known a lot of fighters from all levels. And I think it's fair to say people don't realise that, like, unless you probably at least get to, I mean, I know many people who've won British titles, you probably need to get a European level to be full-time as a fighter. Or if you may be a British champion, then you need sponsors. You know, there's a lot of filthy skullduggery in boxing. I'm just doing a book at the minute. Well, I've got fucking loads coming out. I've got Junior Witters coming out, Ray Morton's, Michael Showers, Nick Manners. And he said there's more decency and honour inside Armley Prison than inside the world of boxing. Filthy. You do not understand. Well, obviously you will, but kind of to the people who don't. There's so much, like, people don't even get weighed in. People putting heavies down their underpants. It's, you know, Junior Witter tells a story for his forthcoming book. So he's fighting Zab Judah on 9 days' notice, and the only problem is he's Mike Tyson's best mate, and Mike Tyson's on the undercard. Oh, sorry, Mike Tyson's topping the bill. So Junior, little old Junior, from skinny Brad, little, you know, so he's trapped in a room with Zab Judah, New York, proper brash New Yorker from the ghetto.
Yeah.
Steve Crocodile Fringe, one of Mike Tyson's mates, who's just done a manslaughter charge with, and he's with Mike Tyson. And all 3 of them, well, Zab Judah and Tyson are naked, and then Tyson quickly realizes this is the guy. Zab Judah is actually Tyson's godson.
Yeah.
So then Tyson starts staring at him like that, and then all the Ingles are like, "Well, I'm not with Julia." Sorry, I just went off track there, but I'll give you a copy, mate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You still love boxing? Is Andrew Buchanan still in love with the passion for boxing? I know a little Coley Buchanan's coming through. That's something I never seen. Bless him.
I didn't.
Yeah, good on him. Do you know what I mean? Is he 13 now?
He is, yeah. I mean, he absolutely loves it. He's at Modern ABC at the minute, and they're doing a cracking job with him. I've took a step back. I think I've talked in the past about the pressures of like me dad, my brother being like involved in the boxing kind of game with us, and the pressures that were put on me when I was younger and things like that. And I always said, like, I'll take a step back, son. I'm here if you want some help and advice. I'll go for a run with you. I'll do some pads with you. But you know your coaches and your gym mates, they who you need to listen to and who you need to like take your advice from and things like that. You know Cole as well. Like he's very astute and he learns and he listens and he's very interested and you see him. I was watching him sparring. I think he was at Forest Hall and he was at Shea Moore as well the other day. And I mean, bless him. He's obviously he hasn't had a fight and things like that. And I think he's fighting there November for his first fight or skills fight. I can't remember what it is. And I can see him looking at the coach and he's like looking in the eye and he's like nodding and that. And I remember being like that when I was younger as well. And the coach and like you're sitting in the corner and your coach is telling you, and he's like, right, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do that. He's like, yeah. But he's honestly, his game as a badger as well. I never seen it. He's an actor. He did at school and stuff like that. He does his panto plays and things, and I always thought that's where he was going to go down. And he was like, "No, I want to go on boxing." And I watched him sparring. You can take a punch, and that's the main thing, you know. It's all right. It's all right giving it out. If you kind of take a good hiding every now and again, then you're not going to make it. So he's kind of proven he can take a shot and give a shot. So that's half the battle won.
Interest. So I'm just going to ask you: are you still love the game?
Yeah.
You know, do you still have the passion to be excited for the big fights? And I mean, can I ask you a question? So I kind of touched on boxing, James, but I didn't really take it, like, I wasn't permanently there. I had my first fight 15, 16, 17, but I stopped. Like, anyone is called, basically anyone who's a kind of boxers, you have a habit of walking around doing that in the shops and all kind of things. And I stopped doing that when I was about 36, 37. Do you still do that? Because if you don't, that means like you've lost a lot of passion for it.
I still do. I've got a decent sized mirror in the hallway, and it's like walking from the bedroom to the sitting room, and you just have a little cheeky look in, just get like, oh, yeah, still got that. Plus, like I say, with Coley, he like surprise attacks us all the time, so I've got it every now and again. Just get up and have some sort of like mad fight with him, and then it evolves into getting.
We'll know the name Andrew Buchanan. You know, pros. You won a title. You know, you weren't just anyone. I think. I was talking to Nick Manners about you the other day. You know, it's the most noble art. The scariest thing to ever get in a ring and look at someone and think, shit, any second now we're going to run each other and smack each other. But Nick won an area title, and I know you won a Masters title, and I think it was amazing to get something like that, because if you don't win a title as a pro, you're just known as a bit of a tough guy. You don't regret anything. I mean, who was the hardest that ever hit you in your life?
God, you know what it is? I can't even. I got put on. I've only ever been put on my arse once.
And that's from Birmingham.
Lee Hallett, yeah. I boxed him down there, and I think I just won the boys clubs, and I think this was a semi-final of the boys clubs, like the year after, and I got too cocky. I think I landed a couple of shots, got full of myself, and walked onto a right hand as he came off the ropes. That's the only time, like, amateur pro sparring that I've ever been put down, and I would say I didn't feel that one because I just went straight on my arse and was 16-year-old, you know. Got back up and finished the fight off, but I'm trying to think who was I can't really think. I tried not to take a full punch or full blow ever.
Some mega superstars. Have you ever met any people where you've been really starstruck as well?
Not really. I don't know what it is. I don't get like that. I got Muhammad Ali. I could walk down the street and stuff. I had to go, oh, there's Muhammad Ali. I've never been one for like going up and going, can I have your picture and things like that? And because I don't know whether it's just like the fear of invasion of privacy with people and stuff like that. I'll go like, all right, this dude's like know about something. Oh, I've seen such and such today, or whoever it was when we're going to all these dudes. I think we went up to Glasgow, and was when Mike Tyson fought at Glasgow, and we're sitting with all these guest celebrity stars at ringside and things like that. And that kind of side's never fazed us, because like I don't think I've ever been interested in the fame and fortune and the notoriety kind of thing of it. So when I meet other people who are like who are famous and things, it's not that I don't respect what they do. It's just like, all right, you're a person, you know, you're a human being. They've achieved brilliant things and stuff like that, and that's respect, you know. But like, I don't think I've ever been starstruck before. I can't think anyone who would, you know. But it's like I say, I've got the respect and admiration of the fighters in anyone really who achieves a top level in what they do. But like I say, I've never been the kind to run over and get a selfie with them or take a photo and things.
No, last couple of years, I've met a lot of people: boxers, footballers, gangsters, bullshitters, knobheads, actors, loads of different people. But I never ever got over looking at my phone and going, Martin O'Neill there. And then, and I obviously ending. I'm not, and just all right, man. But there's a saying which is never meet your heroes, and I've met a lot of people. I won't tell you names, but I have met a couple of megastars, and I thought I wish I'd never met you, like proper British. And I could have written the book. And one last question, Andy, because I know you're going to be busy. So what does Andrew Buchanan do now? Former international, national champion winner, fought for England, good, decent winning pro. You've kind of drifted away from the boxing scene, if you like. I know you've done a bit of commentary either, but what does Andrew Buchanan do now?
Obviously work. Spend most of my time with my family, to be honest with you. I'm very much a like family man, and we love going away together and things like that. I still, like I say, we're call boxing. I'm starting to dip my toes back into the amateur scene and going around the clubs and things. And obviously with him boxing, I'll be going back and see where that takes me. But you know, I've learned the guitar, love the guitar. We're very much outdoors people, so I'm camping all the time and that kind of thing. Just like I say, just I enjoy me time. I enjoy me time. Whatever it is I do.
So anyone watching, I am going to share the shit out of it later to all the boxing pages. Anyone wants to get in touch with Andrew Buchanan, what's the best way?
I don't really go on Facebook too much now. I still go on, but I just don't interact because I'm very lazy. But I either Facebook or Twitter. I'm normally on Twitter a little bit.
I'll put Andy B80, I think, isn't it?
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
I'll put your link. Twitter's mad. You know, I get trolled daily, but I think you have to be a little bit cultured to use Twitter. You've got to have half a brain. Do you know what I mean? I think I could count on one hand the amount of abuse I've had on Twitter in like 12 years, where I get it daily on YouTube.
Yeah.
And by the way, Andrew.
Yep.
So the wife's going mad at me at the minute. She's like, Jamie, you look like a fat lesbian from Prisoner Cell Block H. And I'm like, I'm not. Look, I look like Cobra Kai. I look like Terry Silver from the Cobra Kai. But I always said, never ever have a man bun. And I just I'm like 43-year-old. I'm fat and middle-aged. I've gone grey. And we all kind of get old and boring and that. But do you know what, Andy? It's always a pleasure, mate. You need to send me your details for your Halloween do. I want to get as Jack the Ripper this year, and I want to go slay some holes around the quayside. So I definitely, because I say every year, I say I'm gonna, like, I'll just sit in my house and get dressed up on my own. Do you know what I mean? Saying that, for work this year we are allowed. So and I'll be working nights. Do you know what I mean? So I will just be like serving customers dressed as the Joker or Jack the Ripper or Jeffrey Dahmer or something. just get the creepiest costume you can. Knock a couple of lights out and hide from some corners and that. It's allowed for one night only. Right, big love, brother. Always a pleasure, mate. Take care. God bless. Do a bit.